Baki is one of my favorite shows of all time. The absurdity of it is found only in shows like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but instead of having magic or any other explanation for how they can do the crazy stuff they do, Baki says screw that and makes it all about martial arts. It's like if you took Cobra Kai, a show already unrealistic and crazy at points, and turned it up to 11. With that being said, has Baki learned enough through his journey to win Total Drama Island? First things first, this will be the Killer Bass route. Next episode will be him on Screaming Gophers. He'll be taking the place of Ezekiel, as Ezekiel was the first one eliminated from the team, and finally I will be skimming over events that are less important. To get the best experience of both of these series, I recommend watching at least one season of Total Drama Island, and you watch or read Baki. I'll be using 17-year-old Baki in this right after finishing the Maximum Tournament saga. Right off the bat, Baki will eclipse any of the Toon Force shenanigans any of the campers can do. He obviously can't kill any of them, but he has an innate advantage in any challenge that requires athleticism. Unluckily though, the first challenge is not about athleticism and more about teamwork. I think Courtney and Baki would not get along well. Baki is shown to say what he thinks and isn't going to shy away from telling people that they are annoying. As a result, Courtney would immediately hate Baki. I don't see any issue with Baki jumping off the cliff in the first challenge, considering he did a much larger cliff jump when he was 13 and he survived that. The crates wouldn't be too much of an issue for him either, but all that really does is make it so that the Killer Bass arrived to the camp faster. The teamwork would still be dysfunctional in the end. I think Baki and Duncan could actually have a small bond, and he'd find Tyler amusing for what that's worth. I'm sure Baki would get some votes onto him, but overall they'd find Baki much more useful than Courtney, and so Courtney would leave. Episode 3 is the Big Sleep, which requires campers to stay up for as long as possible, and I don't think Baki would really care about this challenge, but he'd stay awake for a while, but when people started dropping, he'd take the opportunity to go to sleep as well. I doubt he'd really care about Heather stealing Eva's MP3 or really notice it, so just like in canon, Eva would get eliminated due to her crash out. I do think Baki would realize Heather stole it though, and would know not to be caught lacking by Heather. Episode 4 is the Dodgeball Challenge, and no way Killer Bass lose this. Even if Duncan sleeps through the entire challenge, it does not matter. Baki will destroy everyone on the Gophers minus Cody round 1. As a result, Noah still leaves. I think Baki would tell Tyler to get his head in the game, or he will throw the next challenge purposefully so he leaves. Episode 5 is the talent contest, and since Harold is here, he would win it for Killer Bass, and Baki would tell Harold that he's actually impressed, he's sorry he treated him badly. Justin still leaves. Episode 6 is the camping challenge, and despite how aloof Baki is, I doubt he'd just let 2 of the members go missing. This means that Bass win this episode, and so Izzy would be eliminated 2 episodes early. Episode 7 is the Phobia Factor challenge, and Baki's fear would be to simply win a fight against his father, and considering how he did against him when he was 13 and missing a crucial year of development, I think it's safe to say even Baki ain't doing that at this point of the story. I think this would really get to Baki though, like his entire life was exposed to the others, but I think Harold could actually cheer Baki up, as well as Tyler, who'd point out he didn't pass his fear either. The 3 agree to be in an alliance, and they get Duncan in as well as Bridget so they can eliminate Sadie. It's nothing personal, and they did succeed in their fear, but Katie and Sadie aren't as well known as any of the others. Episode 8 is the Boney Island challenge, and Baki wouldn't give a crap about Beth grabbing a totem from Boney Island, cursing her team. Killer Bass win even better than in canon, with Baki offering to push the canoes. As a result, it would be a tight elimination with Heather's group of Beth, Lindsay, Owen, and herself voting for Lashana while the other 4 vote for Heather. As a result, it would be a fire-making tiebreaker, and Heather would end up winning it. Episode 9 is Paintball Deer Hunt, and Killer Bass win no matter what, because if Baki is a deer, then nobody will catch him, and if he's a hunter, the Screaming Gophers are just done for. Combined with the mutiny on the Screaming Gophers, and there's nothing they can do to win. Cody gets eliminated because of the bear mauling him nearly to death. Episode 10 is the Cooking Challenge, and Screaming Gophers are just gonna take another L here, and Beth would leave like in canon due to the totem she brought from Boney Island being exposed. Episode 11 is a trust building challenge, and I think things go mostly like in canon. This is to say that it'll go to the tiebreaker where DJ takes his blindfold off to see the fake bunny, and Screaming Gophers win as a result. Baki would get everyone on board with the idea of eliminating DJ since he was the reason they lost, and also because the game isn't good for him since he almost suffered a breakdown over Bunny's death. Episode 12 is Chef's Boot Camp, and unlike in canon, Baki actually wins this for the Bass. You could make the argument he'd fall asleep during the essay, but I really don't think he'd be nearly as exhausted as everyone else was throughout the challenge. As a result, Baki would win in the final part of the challenge, and Screaming Gophers would have to go back to elimination, where both Lindsay and Heather and Gwen and Trent are trying to bribe Owen. I think Owen stays with Heather and Lindsay despite he himself not really knowing why, since he likes Gwen and Trent more, and they get rid of Trent. Episode 13 is the Extreme Sports Challenge. It's really interesting to discuss this because no matter where you place Baki, he's winning his part of the challenge. To be fair though, Gwen wins part 1, Baki wins part 2, and in the final round the same things as in canon occur, meaning Killer Bass lose. Having no other option, they'd vote off Katie, not because they don't like her, but because she's the most expendable member. Even Harold has more uses than her. Episode 14 is the Brunch of Disgustingness with guys being against girls, but since guys have one more than girls, girls get to choose one guy to bring over to their side, and they pick Owen. Now this is tough because I believe Baki can stomach basically anything since he canonically drank poison, but I don't know if he can beat Owen in the final round. So the guys would lose in the end, but would make the most of the island life that they have become accustomed to at this point. Episode 15 is the first episode in Merge, and Izzy and Eva return to the island. Baki would be able to beat Eva in the first challenge since it's all based on your pain tolerance, and I think Baki's pain tolerance is among the best here. Thus, Eva leaves once again. Episode 16 is the challenge where everyone must find a key, and it doesn't really matter since Heather is here, so she gets immunity. Now time for elimination. A big thing is that the Killer Bass are all friends here. Even Duncan and Harold don't absolutely hate each other, just mildly hate each other. As a result, they can work together long enough to come up with a target, and I think they'd pick Izzy just because she's insane and the wild card here. Episode 17 is the Hide and Seek challenge, and without a girl majority, Duncan wouldn't think of a guy's alliance. However, I think he would recruit Gwen since he'd know she isn't exactly on Heather's team. I think Baki can outspeed Chef to win immunity, meaning he gets immunity along with Heather. I think Duncan may try to pitch the idea of eliminating Bridget since she's liked by everyone and she's good at sports. I don't think Baki nor Harold or Tyler would refuse this request, and I could easily see Gwen going along with it, meaning Bridget leaves and Jeff reveals he didn't vote Bridget, severing a few relationships in the process. Episode 18 is the Bike Building Challenge, and Baki would win pretty easily with Lindsay coming in last like in canon, meaning she's eliminated and she'd tell Heather off like in canon as well. Episode 19 is the Horror Movie Challenge, and let me just say, it does not matter what killer there is, they are dead. Baki is legit ending whoever comes into his view. I don't even think Gwen gets a chance. Baki wins immunity and Heather gets the boot. Episode 20 is a reward challenge with no immunity, but I think Baki can win this as well. I think everyone would start to realize how thin the numbers are and would begin to wonder who they'd want in the finale. However, I do think Duncan would want Jeff gone more due to the betrayal, and Harold and Tyler would just wouldn't want Baki gone in general, meaning Baki is safe another day, but Jeff leaves an episode early. Episode 21 is the Tri-Arm Triathlon, where it's 3 teams of 2, and I could see Baki and Owen being a pair, Gwen and Tyler being a pair, and finally Duncan and Harold being a pair. This would be a great episode for some development for all 6 campers, and in the end I could see Baki and Owen winning part 1, Gwen and Tyler winning part 2, and Duncan and Harold winning part 3. In the end, I think Tyler, Owen, and Baki all decide to ditch Duncan, while Harold votes for Gwen, meaning that Duncan is eliminated. Duncan and Gwen both voted for Baki. Episode 22 is the episode where eliminated contestants get to choose who's eliminated, and I mean, Owen is the party guy. It makes sense that Katie and Sadie would say they want to see him here. Episode 23 does not matter, it is a filler episode. Episode 24 is a pair challenge where teams have to find their way back to camp. I think the teams would be Baki and Gwen against Tyler versus Harold. I think Harold is going to be the hardest member to beat here, but I do think it is possible for Baki and Gwen, and I think they'd both agree to work with each other to make it to the finale. Thus, when they win, Chef chooses to eliminate Tyler. Baki would tell Tyler that he's impressed with him. He managed to not let his love for Lindsay ruin his game. If he can stay motivated like this, he will be fine. Episode 25 is a Triple Dog Dare challenge where campers have to go through insane challenges to stay in the game. Baki shouldn't have many issues with this challenge, even with the gross stuff. Gwen is insane when she's motivated, so I think she'd do okay, but Harold is pretty insane as well, but he's much more willing to say no to things, so I think he'd be the one to quit before the other two, meaning the finale is against Gwen versus Baki. I do think Baki would give a heartfelt goodbye to Harold though. The finale is here, and Gwen fans would be Lashana, Cody, Trent, Noah, Courtney, Eva, Duncan, and Bridget. I don't think there needs to be much discussed here, since I doubt Gwen has anything in her repertoire that is able to beat or match Baki. The only way I could see Baki losing is if he gets so cocky he sabotages himself, but I don't see that happening. Thus, Baki wins. Who could have guessed that physical strength is a great asset in these games? Either way, I hope you all enjoyed this video and the next part will be out soon. Leave your thoughts in the comments below and have the day you deserve.